I am doing that. I have dedicated my life to doing what you want. Just give me money if you want that. I'm already doing it.
Man is saying is form an organization like these churches that are allowed to go out and spout their nonsense. Form an organization. We have plenty of talent here. We have plenty of smart people. We need to team together, form the organization, and get people out there actually doing the philanthropic work that we're trying to do here. But at this point, if we honestly want to move this forward to, that's where it needs to go.
That doesn't even work with regular churches right now. It's a nice idea that, oh, we could create an official organization, kind of like a religion. Yeah, but if that religion and its content is in disfavor with like the mainstream Satan, then it's just going to attack it like, oh, this is like a dangerous cult.
Because no one's going to take us seriously if we're out there with homemade poster cards trying to present flat earth truth. We're professionally representing ourselves, and we have a way to collect valid income through the donations. It's going to essentially give ourselves the funding we need to push our narrative further.
If you want to support the channel, support Nathan Oakley, because he's reaching everyone.
I mean, beyond me being able to sustain myself, and I mean that with the utmost sincerity, that's the funding I need. So, I mean, on this note, smash the super chat if you're watching this. But my point is that yes, I need funding to do what I do. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't be doing it. But beyond that, what funding's needed for what?
I was just looking for staffing so that we can essentially take this to the public sector instead of just being in this niche little corner on the internet. I'd like to be out in the public eye.
I didn't hear a dollar value to that. Facilities. I can rent a facility for $50.
You start out from like a scientific kind of perspective, right? An educational perspective, right? Trying to get kids back out doing actual physical foundational science. The differences, bringing to the people the differences between foundational, actual real science, experimental science, and what we've gotten into with this theoretical science, what the differences are.
I'm not against it or for it. I just, number one, something worthy of funding, as that's the current topic. And number two, I feel like I'm doing a better job of that here on YouTube.
Not everybody is on the internet, and not everybody is looking at this information. There's a lot of people, There's a lot of people interested in it.
Well done, that's interesting. So perhaps we should force this upon them then.
No, it's not a force
thing. It's not a
thing.
matter of forcing. It's a matter of bringing their attention to the fact that there's some hypocrisies within the mainstream narrative that needs to be addressed formally. The whole point is to bring the debate to the doors of academia. Academia is never going to open the doors to us because they've already have the power.
What's the purpose behind it? To what ends?
To further the understanding that there is a problem with today's science. Today's scientists are not doing science. They're nothing more than mathematicians. They don't even know about it. All they know is what they've been told.
Okay, thank you. And why, pray tell, do you want to disseminate that to the masses?
Because it's our civil duty, Nathan.
Yeah, we need to wake up the people, dude. They're in a slumber. We need to wake them up.
When you're ready and the time's right, you'll wake up.
Yeah, am I mistaken in what I heard is that this is a baller's idea of what we should do? Yep. We should create some flat out organization.
You heard that correctly.
With a committee or something.
Hold on. Brian asked, why would a baller be doing that? It's basic projection. So what's going through the baller's mind when he's contemplating the inevitable fact that he's living on a flat plane, but doesn't want to have to deal with it, is tell you how you should cope with it and how you should progress this in your state of mind moving forward.
I got more of the same attitude that like what Tent's presenting, where he claims to be working in the sciences, right, but also disagrees. Literally, this was his words, disagrees with how some of science is presented to him. He said, basically, if you guys want to be taken seriously, this is how everybody else does it. You know what I mean?
He's looking for a nice little security blanket. if I'm going to declare this to anybody around me, then I need to know that there's a nice support network set up with everybody understanding that you're dead serious and you're not silly. Then I can put my rubber stamp on it for me. He's just looking for a little security blanket like a snowflake because he can't cope with it. So he's going to tell us what's what in terms of what needs to be feathered for his little nest to step into.
Not everybody's a warrior, Nathan.
How can we evolve this a little better and further? And the whole point was to try to set up some sort of interaction publicly to where public people walking by can interact with us on the Discord panel. And the idea was to go to college campuses and universities and try to get some of these bona fide individuals to actually sit down and have a somewhat of a formal debate with us.
Yes. My question was, why do you want to?
To expose the hypocrisy and the contradiction from the mainstream narrative so that others can see.
The real answer is, Nathan, it's for the future generations, right? We acknowledge that most likely it's going to take a long time for people to publicly acknowledge it, to permeate throughout the public, and to get rid of this freaking tyrannical BS.
There it is. We got there eventually. You believe that by disseminating this information, you think that that will put an end to the control and tyranny that you perceive from what government and big business?
Not simply just that, but that's the first step, right? It's the first step. You got to take the first step.
That's definitely, according to you now, the first step on that journey. Really?
How did I prove it to you?
Yeah, how do I know? Asking my new guru who's telling me what steps I need to take on what road. How you know that first step is definitely the first step towards your goal?
How is it the next step? Is what you're asking me?
How is that the first step on a journey to ending the tyranny that the Western world faces?
By waking up the masses, majority rules, man.
Scientologists and Luciferians have a place to spout their crap, right? For some reason, they're allowed to spout it. But then we have us over here that are berated and talked to at like subhumans just for simply questioning the scientific validity of the theories that we have today.
Why have they got these platforms to disseminate this? They built them. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, inevitably, the first step is building the organization to get the information out there.
I asked what exactly you want to build and how much it would cost. We got to something that was about renting a venue. That's where we got.
No, it's a charitable, philanthropic organization.
Yeah. Okay. If I say I'm going to make a business, and I say I'm going to make it an incorporated business, and I'm going to get all the documentation, and I'm going to register it for tax, and there we go. Look at my file. Look, check it out. I've got business. Hello? Unless you do something, that means nothing. Register it as a church, as a philanthropic church. What does that mean? What does it achieve? It doesn't do anything. I'm saying, what do you want to do and why do you want to do it? And what I'm getting told is to convert the masses to end tyranny, to disseminate it through the means that have been built by our opponents, the arrogance of it. And it always disseminates into the foundations built by our opponents that they preach from. We need to take hold of them or infiltrate. You know, whoa. The people who've made their way to that hill have made it there off their own back for their own reasons. Now, if they ask you whether or not that's a good journey to be taking, then feel free to let them know. And that's why my doors are open. But as for setting up camp in front of them as they're walking towards the doors and pointing out how stupid the doors are, I see that as a very, very bad thing to start off with as a foundation. But I do want to progress. Dissemination and permeation, really beautiful words. Now, tell me what that involves.
It's involved with people like us having funding to be able to go out.
You're just saying the same thing. Yeah, like every time I've had this conversation, it disseminates into this. Oh, well, we need to promote the virtues of flat earth to start the ball rolling in terms of people's waking up to the truth of the world that they're in and blah, blah, blah. Okay, what do we actually need to do then? Well, we need to get funding. For what? For disseminating the information. Okay, I am doing that. I have dedicated my life to doing what you want. Just give me money if you want that. I'm already doing it. If you've got something further to what I'm obviously already doing, with an open door that anybody can walk in, and while you might not like how big my platform is in the arena I've built it, it is being built by me as we speak right now. So if you've got nothing further to that and you just want funds, and you haven't got anything to dedicate them to, I need funds, give them me. I'm already doing what you want. We can all say, oh yeah, that would be worth investing in or talking through. Yeah, give me something tangible.
I'm trying, Nathan. I really am. Well, nobody's discounting what you're doing, Nathan. We're just talking about the next steps of this movement that's been created, this coherent argument that has been formed, yes, on your back, on the work that you've done through years of this what we need to be doing, in my point of view, if, like Tenth was saying, he's still getting this flack from people in his family because they don't recognize this as any kind of legitimate thing, the way to do it is to organize ourselves into an actual legitimate organization. That's just
totally
simply
wrong.
Put.
Couldn't be more wrong.
Preposterous.
No, he couldn't be more right.
This is why some baller told you that you should go out and form an organization and go to universities where they don't want to know you and they won't talk to you, where you're begging for their attention, right? For them, people who a lot of them spout total nonsense, to give you attention, right? And to listen to you for a moment, or maybe some students on campus to listen to you for a moment. And you're going to go off then and they won't take you serious. You'll just be an annoyance on campus. And you then will go off and create an organization and become what? You become Scientology, a belief system. Or that's the flat earth belief organization. We're not an organization, though. It's about the world, not an organization. It's about the flat earth, the earth, not flat organization debate, flat earth debate. If they have something that they want to hear, then they can come to us. We don't go after them anymore.
It's not about throwing flat earth in people's face, okay? You're incorrectly summarizing my proposition here. I'm not telling people to go out and form an organization around flat earth. Yes, that will be obviously, but it's not what we're putting out there to the public. It's simply trying to reach people on a foundational science level like you guys have been doing, right? Trying to get them to better understand what the hell is going on with this, the difference between actual real science and all this theoretical science that we're in.
I illustrated this, and you've just illustrated this. Yeah, we're already doing that. And to progress the conversation, we need suggestions for things beyond that. Yeah? Unless you just want me to send that back into me begging for people to give me money, which I can do. No worries.
What if there was an organization that offered free curriculum for elementary schools or something like that? Had like some kind of structured, workbooks and things of that nature. That might be one approach. I'm not saying should or shouldn't. I'm just saying it might work.
Brilliant. Workbooks. There you go. First thing I've heard in this entire discussion that sounds actually useful.
People with no sales background speak with a lot of loftiness, and rejection is a real thing. And when rejection happens, you move on in sales. The people don't want your product. When you establish yourself as a really good salesman, you learn how to overcome objections. But when the market's dry and you've got to show who you are and your paperwork is good and this deal goes through and there's no hangups and hiccups, you're a professional. All right, so you grab all the in-betweeners at that point because you learn how to overcome objections. In Flat Earth, how I've translated that is I've already figured out who wants to listen and who doesn't in my family. I've figured out in their influence who wants to listen. I've already spread myself out with the people who want it. I'm teaching them. I don't ask Nathan to teach them. I'm teaching them. I'm on phone calls during the week, talking to people, teaching people. They are in a different market. They know people I don't know, but now they're the conduit for me. I've got a good number of people in the sense that I'm teaching and sharing the concepts from the show. They're putting me in front of people. Now, each one of those will duplicate, but you don't grow if you spend time with the wrong people. Some will, some won't. So what next? I move on. I'm not forcing anything on anybody.
Look at the Jehovah's Witnesses, dude. How many people reject the Jehovah's Witnesses? They come to your door, they're freaking annoying. We're just trying to open the door to the idea that there is something there that you should be aware of. And when we plant the seed 1,000,000 times faster than what you're doing with somebody trying to find you on a YouTube channel, it's going to be a lot more efficient. Think about how many people you've interacted with in the last year versus going out publicly and setting up a booth of display where random people can walk by and at least be exposed to the fact that there's something there.
How many times has he done it?
Sentiment is just go and do it.
But I may maybe suggest getting a camper van, go around Europe and do it. People have lots of suggestions for things other people should do. If you want something doing in life, do it.
If you've got a product to sell, you've got a couple of different options. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a company that you're working for or your own company that has a pedestal built on a high street, then there's a chance that the person that walks through your door is exponentially more likely to want to buy your product from you because you have a place for them to wander in. A bit like here with an open door that people can wander in, as much as you want to demean that and say that it would be better to cold call like the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I know the statistics behind that, and you are wrong.
It's not a matter of converting. It's a matter of exposing them to the hypocrisy, not trying to capture their mind and bring them to flat earth.
You said specifically, it's not about exposure and conversion. Au contraire, they would be the very specific statistics I would look at. How much exposure have I given my product versus how many people were converted to buying my product? I will say again, statistically, you are wrong. Cold calling and standing in the street does not give you a high conversion rate. In fact, it's absolutely abysmal. However, owning a bar where people who want drink can buy drink tends to mean that people who walk through that door will probably buy a drink from you. Unlike the guy with the bottle of booze on the street going, "Buy my booze." Most people think that guy's a nutter.
And that's where we're saying we need to have an organized foundation, not just some nutter on a street corner with a printed sign.
Yes, we've gone through this circle 4 times, audience. Yes, that's right. Yes, so we need a platform. Again, this could be an opportunity for me to point out that I've built one. You're on it. And people come in regularly. And that there's 100,000 people watching my videos a month exposed to this subject as a direct consequence of the bloody hard work I put in. So just give me money. If you want that, we've already covered this. But further to that, which I've already built, and further to your suggestions of cold calling people and standing in the street like a preacher, do you have anything that's actually tangible and useful that might actually be worthy of our time in pursuit beyond the things that have already been done? And Adam's already done them in the case of going out and cold calling and standing on the street.
Could put a gun to the head, maybe.
I was a little bit mental.
Consistency, man. It's all about consistency.
All about consistency. Is that something I can put a dollar value on and raise the funds for the church that we're going to develop to do this? We're going to register the church, gather the funds, and then we're standing with a document and a building. We're going to say it's about consistency. So you wouldn't have the first clue what to do if we developed all this, would you? You'd be telling the people around you, we need to be more consistent. Oh, right. So if I've got a product to sell, I need to tell the salesman to be more consistent. Consistency in what?
I think you're pretty consistent, Nathan.
Thank you, Neil. Yes, I think I've made that smash the super chat point about 5 times. Yes, I know. We're already doing that. We're trying to progress this. So far, this entire discussion has only resulted in one decent suggestion, that we produce work booklets around the subject that can be provided to a child in an educational capacity. Well, why not have some actual real-world flat Earth information that's useful and practical and can be utilised in their life? That would be good in a workbook, would it not?
On Amazon, there is a, when you said about booklets, there is a Flat Earth booklet out there right now from Flat Earth Music. Was it Music Conspiracy Guru? Check it out.
Let me poem.
Your poems? Book of poems?
But just some advice. I spent quite a long years being a consultant in business, and there's a couple of main things that you need to consider whenever you're proposing anything, and it starts with what your business model is. And that will start with defining what your customer segments are, what type of relationships they want, what kind of channels you're going to use, what's your value proposition, key activities, key resources, revenue streams, cost structures. So there's a lot of things to consider before you just blurt out something, right? So, yeah, this is my 2 cents.
I could kiss you. Absolutely spot on. All of those things are considered before you do anything. When people talk about building platforms and going out and doing stuff, it's like, what's your aim? What's your goal? What are you trying to achieve? How are you thinking of achieving it? Who's your customer? Who are you going to flog this to? How are you going to flog it to them? How do you know they're your customer? In this case, it's the information that we're selling. We're selling Flat Earth. That's a thing. It's a thing you can sell. Now, sell doesn't necessarily mean transactional. In the same way that if you provide a service in barter, you might be breaking your bloody back for somebody in receipt of something else from them that they do. No money changing hands. Well, this is informational based. It's still selling. So all the considerations just detailed by Truth Be Told have to be considered. You've got to go through all that stuff if you're going to try and think about how you appeal to next man who, if you don't consider those things, you're just a barking idiot on a street corner trying to flog your wares.
It took somebody saying flat earth, and I'm going, what is this guy talking about? For me to look into it. That's what it takes.
Thank you.
Journalism, it's QE, it's 24/7. You have in Serbia, you have all servers all around the world. It's working.
Well, that might be the case for your entry into this subject. My entry into this subject was somebody who had considered those things, who had considered how he could manipulate an audience to integrate the information into a comedy routine. That would be Math Powerland. So he considered his audience base somebody who wants to laugh. And then he integrated the subject matter into that and tried to progress, if you want to call it the business aspect, of his comedy. That's how he approached it. So he's given careful consideration and then reached me by that method with his comedy routine. That's how I got introduced to Math Powerland. Or one of the videos I watched, it wasn't that specific video, but that's how he was in the arena to begin with for me to find him. So he's assessed those things, right? He hasn't just gone, Flat Earth's a thing, I need to set up a platform and be more consistent. He went, I can integrate this into a comedy routine. My customer's somebody who wants to laugh. They'll buy tickets. That might make me a living.
Well, not everybody's got that. Not everybody's a comedian.
Yes, absolutely. I'm probably doing a bad job. Maybe I'm not. Trying to encourage people's creative juices so that they go, well, what I do is, like the Truth Be Told guy, well, I know a lot about business and how you need to develop a business. If you look at it from that point of view, your commodity or your sellable item being the information of Flat Earth, if you assess it in those terms, you might actually find some success at the end of it.
But he hasn't done it, and he's asking for consistency of something he hasn't done. I've done what I'm saying, and I rather work with the warm, friendly market than a cold market. I like good referrals, people who want to listen to my message, want my product. See, until you do it, the methodology you say works great as a concept, but until you do it, and the number one reason people fall out of sales is rejection. So I always try to limit rejection so they get a commission check before the rejection. And I said, who do you know that trusts you, likes you? Well, let's go to them first. Well, some people didn't want that. Some people said, well, I want to try it on others. I said, well, you're going to get rejected. They don't know you. There's no history. They don't know your intentions. They may not even want to help you succeed, whereas a friend might.
We're not trying to sell stuff.
Yeah, you are.
We're just trying to expose the fact that there's something more than you've been told. What's the story? That's what we want.
That's the story, right? Imagine a newspaper. The information contained within, that's the thing that's being sold when it's in print and you can physically imagine it as something tangible. But when you're like, we're not selling anything. No, we are selling something.
It's information. It's not for money. Now we have, if you want to support the channel, support Nathan Oakley because he's reaching everybody, and most of us as a group have schooled each other here. I'm making strides and gaining individuals coming to Flat Earth because I'm spending time with ears that want to hear, eyes that want to see, and all through friendly connections. Sure, I could go back to the cold market system that my newbie salespeople tried and fell out of the business because they got rejected and rejected and rejected. Whereas I'm talking to people who are saying, I'm interested in this subject, school me. Then I school them, they become another 10th. And it grows and it grows. And he stays in the war market of another person's interest. And it's all through introduction, friendly situations. I'm going to get them the information if they want to see it. If not, say la vie. And I said, perfect.
We, and I mean that collectively in terms of us right now, you on the Discord panel, you on the G Plus panel, and me as the host of this particular show, as 10th Man described it, as a school, as opposed to the sales floor or the marketplace in general in any way, shape or form. Now, yeah, we've got a product, but see this grounds here as the training grounds on an individualistic level. What do you do? If I'm talking to you, either audience member or you, anybody who was talking previously in Discord, you need to be a good ambassador for the subject. Well, how can you be a good ambassador? Again, that comes down to my exasperation, where I'm like, well, that's what we offer. If getting other people to understand the difference between pseudoscience claims from heliocentrism and actual scientific validity that's offered by cause and effect relationships established and then a hypothesis-based experiment being performed, then you can do that by simply being a good ambassador for the subject. And that doesn't mean proactively going out as a preacher. It just means knowing your stuff so that if it does happen to come up, you are immediately a good representative for that which you wish to disseminate. And then there's a reasonable chance, fair outcome or bad outcome or good outcome with the person you're disseminating it to, they may, if they've engaged in that conversation with you, also in time also become a good ambassador. That's the dissemination that 10th is trying to get across. So while it's like, well, we want to build a desk that more people can come to, don't worry about having a desk. Worry about what's in your brain being of the highest possible standard so that if you ever end up in a discussion with somebody else about it, you're a good rep. That's all. And right now, this is the school to become that good rep. I'm trying to impart the information onto others so that they can sell the information to others. Now, that's a training ground, and you might say, well, if you're the guy training everyone else to do it, wouldn't you be better served out one at a timing it? And I say, no, definitely not. I'm in the right place doing the right thing. And yes, it's encouraging and I'll accept any constructive criticism or suggestions to make me do better at that. But when the suggestion is go out and stand in front of a desk, you might see 6 people come along who aren't interested in what you've got to offer versus standing in your training office and disseminating the information to literally 100,000 people a month in terms of the amount of views I get. I see that as vastly valuable, providing the people that come and go from the arena become good reps.
Our whole point was to expose your server and your information to the masses, trying to widen the scope of Spotlight. If you want to make it up a hill, you have to have a larger footprint to gain more traction. And that's all we're trying to do is further the footprint to gain more traction and to bring people into this server specifically into the arena. That's all we're trying to do, man.
I mean, if it's specifically to bring people to me, then I'm all for it. Go out onto the streets.
Yeah, that's what we want to do.
I'm only joking.
Hang on.
Well, what about what that guy done? He made pamphlets up. That was useful.
If you want to support the channel, support Nathan Oakley because he's reaching everybody.